The story begins with Akeno Nishino, who despises our protagonist, Minoru Kagninu, because he regularly mixes up her name despite sitting right next to her for almost 3 months. But because of her father's wealth, she was kidnapped, but Minoru witnessed everything. The kidnappers wanted a lot of money from her father, and in the meantime, one of them wanted to enjoy his time with Nishino. Just then, Minoru appeared to save her. Minoru was engaged in a daily brawl with backstreet goons. But Minor has always craved more power, even if it means going beyond the capabilities of nuclear weapons. So his desire for power drove him insane enough that he jumped in front of a truck. And so he was reborn in the world of magic as Sid Kageno in an aristocratic family of Baron Kageno. But his desire to become the eminence in shadow remained in his heart, and he continued to hunt criminals even in this life. During that time, however, Sid discovered a unique creature and kept it for experimentation, shooting it with magic for over a month, and one day that decomposed creature reverted back to its normal form. So this was his chance to fulfill his childhood ambition of becoming a shadow. He tells her that the curse that had been placed on the descendant of the 3 heroes by the demon Diablo has now been lifted. But the history was fabricated. The lump of flesh she was not the result of a curse, but of the work of an organization known as the Cult of Diablos. And his intention was clear. He wanted to track down that underground organization. So, to express her gratitude for saving her, she joined Sid's plan and named their group Shadow Garden. Alpha recruits other orphan girls in the Shadow Garden over time, but when her sister was about to leave for the Dark Knight Academy, her name was Claire. She was kidnapped, but Sid's group members had already discovered where she was. Those kidnappers are members of the Diablos cult and believe Claire is one of the hero's descendants. So Shadow Garden wasted no time in getting there, and the kidnappers were outmatched by their abilities. So Orba attempted to flee, but was stopped by Sid on his way out. Sid was literally far too powerful, so Orba took a pill that increased his power. Orba had no choice but to listen to the Cult of Diablos in order to cure her daughter because the cult had used her as an experiment. Despite the power boost from the pills, he was unable to defeat Sid. Even after this incident, Claire left to attend the Dark Knight Academy, and the members of the Shadow Garden said their goodbyes to Sid. They decided to travel around the world in order to solidify their own organization, Shadow Garden, and because the Cult of Diablos operates on a global scale, they needed to expand their network. As a result, when Sid reached the age of 15, he enrolled in the same academy, the prestigious Midgard Academy of the Dark Knight. As he made new friends named Skell and Poe there. Both puts up Sid to propose to the goddess of the academy, Princess Alexia, who had previously rejected every proposal made to her. However, when Sid proposed to her while he was terrified, she accepted his proposal and became his girlfriend. She accepted Sid as her boyfriend in order to avoid her engagement with the knight named Xenon. And Sid was ideal for this because she can keep Sid in her palm with money, like an obedient dog. So, while she was at it, she convinced Sid to join her class as well, but while they were sparring, Sid noticed that her sword style was basic, the sword style that she despises herself, but Sid told her that he likes her sword style, and it was similar to her sister's. She also told her the same thing when Alexia lost a sword match in the past. She has an older sister named Iris, who is the most powerful Dark Knight. And Alexia had always wanted to escape her shadow, but she thought it was impossible with her shabby sword style. Nonetheless, Sid stated that he likes her sword style. She was furious and broke up with Sid, but she was nowhere to be found the next day. So the knight took Sid into custody because he was the only one who had seen Alexia for the last time. Sid had always wanted to be a background character, so he did nothing while those knight tortured him to learn about Alexia. They tried everything they could to force Sid to confess to the crime of kidnapping Alexia, but Sid remains firm in his denial. Well, Sid was tortured for 5 days straight, and Claire was hellbent on freeing him. However, because they didn't get any useful information, the knight decided to release him by Iris' order, but Sid had company. Meanwhile, Alexia was brought into a rundown lab so that scientists could extract her blood and create more demonized freaks, but they named it Possessed. Because Alexia is a descendant of the hero, her blood is useful in the creation of those creatures, which is what the Cult of the Diablos was after. Constantly draining her of her blood, Alexia spoke to Milia right beside her. On the other hand, Sid was being followed by some guys. However, even with that Alpha got into Sid's room. Every member of the Shadow Garden visits Sid on a regular basis. But this time she wasn't alone. And to help Sid out in this mess, Beta, Delta, Epsilon, and Gamma were also present. So Sid wanted to make his move, but those who tortured him tried to frame him using Alexia's shoe. But this time, Sid didn't give a damn and killed the people who were trying to track him down and frame him. As they were about to make their move, the freak reappeared with all the blood he had extracted from Alexia and injected it into Milia, causing her to go insane. But in her final moments, Milia realizes Alexia from there, but her state was more unstable than ever. So when Alexia was using this opportunity to flee, the true mastermind of this appeared, and it was none other than her own betrothed. His goal was to place among the top 12 in the night rounds. He just wanted to quit his job as an instructor because the highest position in the night order comes with money and fame. But, unfortunately for him, Sid appears as Shadow. Considering that Xenon used all of his skills against him, Sid or as Shadow only used basic sword techniques. Despite this, Xenon was unable to even scratch him. On the other hand, Milia was on a rampage, and seeing that knights couldn't handle her, Iris took on the task of defeating it, but her efforts were futile because she gained the ability to regenerate. So Alpha arrived, and seeing him, she remembered her days as a possessed, and she felt Milia pain, so she freed her from this pain. But before she left, she informed Iris that she was from the Shadow Garden in order to make her aware of their existence. While the surface issue had been resolved, Xenon was still attempting to defeat Shadow. However, after seeing Shadows using all of the basic methods, Alexia recalls what her sister and Sid had told her. She believed she couldn't be as powerful as her sister because she only knew basic and simple sword techniques, but seeing Shadow change her mind changed because he outmatched Xenon with only basic skills, so Xenon consumed the same pills for power to kill Sid. Xenon was hell-bent on becoming powerful, so Shadow demonstrated true power by using his atomic power to kill him. Everything fell silent after that, and seeing Shadow, Alexia realized she is not as weak as she had imagined. It also helped her get along with her sister after that. This time, Alexia wanted to be in a real relationship with Sid and be her girlfriend. But Sid wasn't interested, so this happened. It's not nice to reject a girl, as they say, but it's a good thing Sid has atomic mastery so he didn't die from that hack of wound. But on his way to dorms, Sid ran into another cute girl, Shiri. Aside from that, there was another pressing issue. Someone was using the name Shadow Garden to cover up their dirty deeds. However, after that incident, Knights discovered a mysterious artifact, which Iris brought to Sherry to decipher. And just to be safe, she assigned her knight Glenn and Marco for Sherry's safety. Aside from that, when Sid's friend found out about his breakup, he took him to Mitsugoshi. They apparently sell chocolate and desired it so that they could propose to another girl with it, but the Wuting line was too long because it is the only shop in the world that sells chocolate. But then a woman named Nu took Sid away with the excuse that she needed a customer feedback on their product, but she was originally leading him to meet with Gamma, one of the first 7 members of the Shadow Garden. But, out of the 7, she doesn't know how to fight, but she is the smartest of them all. She built this place to increase the Shadow Garden's influence in the Midgard Kingdom, and she also made a lot of money off of the chocolate product that Sid had given her a long time ago. She then reports on the recently relocated fake Shadow Garden. Keeping in mind that Sid was leaving, Gamma assigned Nu to Sid so that she could be useful to him. So, as Sid and his friends were running toward their dorm, he noticed something and made an excuse to leave. Just as he arrived and assisted Alexia, she was fighting a guy who kept babbling about how he was from Shadow Garden. Nonetheless, Nu proved to be quite effective. With this in mind, Alexia told Iris about the fake Shadow Garden, but for some reason, she didn't believe in Shadow Garden. Aside from that, Skell and Poe attempted to propose to girls with chocolate, but it failed miserably. So Sid decided to give his chocolate to the first girl he saw, and it was none other than Sherry. She couldn't focus on her work as a result, so her father Ruslan intervened. He informed her that there is a new trend among young people to propose with chocolate and encouraged her to give an honest response to Sid. So that concludes today's video. For more, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for the most recent updates.